Bryan, we've had a tremendous amount of rain here in the Corn Belt, especially in Indiana this spring, and that's created a lot of problems for farmers with respect to drainage. But you've taken some steps over the years to try and reduce the risk associated with too much water. Could you share that with us?
Yes, years ago I bought my first ditch machine. My dad and I started ditching, and our philosophy is if you don't have drained soil, you're not going to get maximum yield. And not only putting drainage in, there's also other benefits such as getting air into the soil. And I just can't say much enough about the drainage. We've started pattern tiling, and this year when we've had all the rain, oh my gosh, you go out there and it gives you a very good feeling that all the hard work that went into pattern tile has paid huge dividends.
Bryan, crop margins have really tightened up here in the Corn Belt the last several years, and that's really created some challenges for farms that cash rent a large portion of their acreage. You've taken some steps to work with your landlords, though, to transfer some of that risk to landlords away from the farm. Could you share a little bit about how that strategy's worked?
2015 was a very difficult year after 2013 and 14. And to explain to the landlords that difficulty, I had to use the right words in a letter that I wrote them. So I attended Purdue Extension personnel's talks, and in their talks they gave great illustrations of what had been happening in the past and what to look for in the future. So I incorporated that into my letter and explained to my landlords that I requested more of a flex cash rent and asked if they would work with me. And I believe that with all the information I gathered and my personal thoughts, that they accepted that very well.
Bryan, your operation is primarily a corn and soybean farm, but you've taken some steps to diversify so that it's not just corn and soybeans. Could you share a little bit about how you've diversified your farming operation over the years?
When Beck started raising seed beans, we were fortunate enough to raise seed beans for them. And then, of course, I've been a Beck dealer since 1978, and we sell to other farmers, and that's two diversifications. But I still say in the way of diversification that making the soil as productive as you can, such as tiling, that has to be included as in a diversification, because when you make that soil as productive as you can, rather than not ditching and losing money in the wet holes and places like that, it all adds up together. And I'm very thankful for the diversity, and we have been able to raise non-GMO corn for food grade. That's also an additional help with diversity. So, we try to do all we can to diversify, and I'm just very thankful that it has worked out for our family like it has.
So Bryan, as you look ahead over the next 5 to 10 years, what's the biggest strategic risk facing Kirkpatrick Farms?
Well, the strategic weather is always there. For an example, getting nitrogen put on corn. We side dress, and so we make sure we have enough equipment to get the nitrogen on at the right time. And then this year it may entail running 22 hours a day. The future is hard to predict, but I fear our relationships with other countries. We have to have a trade balance, but we also need to trade our product to keep our prices up. There's ethanol that helps with our prices on corn. And I guess my biggest fear is what the politicians will do to help or hurt the farmer.
Bryan, I want to thank you and your family for sharing all that information about the Kirkpatrick Farms.